Have you ever wondered why you are aware that you are alive? It is a question so simple that we often forget to ask it, yet so profoundly complex that it has haunted the greatest minds in human history. You wake up in the morning, you open your eyes, and suddenly the universe exists for you. You feel the gentle warmth of sunlight on your skin. You hear the quiet rustle of leaves in the wind. And you experience the undeniable, subjective reality of simply being. But when we look out into the night sky, we are taught to see a cold, mechanical void. We are told that the cosmos is a vast, unconscious machine, grinding away in the silence of deep space. How is it possible that from this ancient, silent emptiness, a spark of awareness somehow ignited? This is the ultimate contradiction, a paradox that sits at the very core of our reality. It is the tension between the inner world of our thoughts and the outer world of infinite space. For centuries, science has operated on a comfortable assumption. Matter is dead, and consciousness is just a fortunate accident, a temporary glitch in the biological machinery of the brain. But recently, a quiet panic has begun to spread through the halls of theoretical physics and advanced neuroscience. The standard narrative is beginning to fracture under the weight of new discoveries. Scientists are starting to realize that the fundamental nature of reality might be entirely different from what we have been taught in textbooks. They are whispering about a concept that was once dismissed as pure mysticism, but is now emerging as a rigorous mathematical necessity. They are asking a question that challenges the very foundation of modern science. What if consciousness is not something the universe does, but rather something the universe fundamentally is? What if the ability to experience reality is woven into the very fabric of space-time, just like gravity or electromagnetism? This is not a story of pseudoscience or wishful thinking. This is a story about the absolute limits of human knowledge and the brilliant, deeply uncomfortable researchers who are pushing beyond them. It is a journey into the deepest mystery of all, a mystery that lives not just in the distant stars, but right here, behind your own eyes. As we prepare to step out into this vast unknown, to explore a concept that might permanently alter how you perceive your own existence, I want to invite you to join our community. I am Theodore, the researcher, and my goal is to guide you through these complex cosmic mysteries with a gentle hand and an open mind. If you find peace and wonder in these quiet journeys into the depths of science, please consider subscribing to the channel. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations of the cosmos have not yet subscribed. Taking a moment to do so helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys. It tells us that you value this space of contemplation, and it ensures that we can continue this infinite journey of discovery together. Now, take a deep breath. Let the distractions of the day fade away, and let us travel back to the fundamental building blocks of reality. To understand why the scientific community is experiencing this quiet paradigm shift, we must first appreciate the staggering scale of the physical universe and compare it to the universe inside our own heads. When astronomers point their most powerful space telescopes into the dark voids between the stars, they do not find emptiness. Instead, they find a cosmos teeming with islands of light. We now estimate that there are around 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion. Each of these galaxies is an ancient, swirling metropolis of gas, dust, and billions upon billions of stars. For instance, the Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest large cosmic neighbor, sits roughly 2 million light-years away from us. The sheer vastness of these structures is enough to evoke a profound sense of awe and a humbling realization of our own physical smallness. Yet, despite this incomprehensible scale, astrophysicists can map the movements of these galaxies with stunning precision. They understand the gravitational equations that govern their slow, majestic dances. They can trace the history of a galaxy back billions of years just by observing the faint, ancient light that has traveled across the infinite void to reach our lenses. Physics is remarkably good at explaining the objective behavior of the universe. We can predict the exact moment a distant star will collapse. We can calculate the trajectory of a comet swinging through the solar system, and we can measure the subtle ripples in space-time caused by colliding black holes. But there is one thing that all of these magnificent equations utterly fail to explain: the feeling of what it is like to observe them. You possess a brain composed of roughly 86 billion neurons, intricately connected in a biological web that bears a striking visual resemblance to the cosmic web of galaxy clusters. Inside that 3-pound mass of wet, biological tissue, a miracle occurs every single second. Electrical impulses travel down microscopic pathways, chemical messengers cross tiny gaps, and somehow, out of this dark, silent biological activity, your conscious experience emerges. You do not just process information like a computer, you feel it. A computer can register the wavelength of red light, but it does not experience the rich, warm beauty of a crimson sunset. This gap between physical processes and subjective experience is what philosopher David Chalmers famously named the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem is the invisible wall that modern science has crashed into. For decades, neuroscientists believed that if they just mapped enough neural pathways, if they just understood the brain's wiring in enough detail, consciousness would naturally reveal itself. They assumed that awareness was simply an emergent property of complex computation. The idea was that if you stack enough dead, unconscious atoms together in the right pattern, they will suddenly wake up and start feeling things. But as our mapping of the brain has grown exponentially more detailed, the mystery has only deepened. We can now watch neurons firing in real time as a person thinks, dreams, or remembers. We can see the electrical storms of cognition sweeping across the cerebral cortex. But looking at an electrical signal on a monitor brings us no closer to understanding how that signal translates into the taste of coffee, the sting of sadness, or the quiet joy of a peaceful evening. The physical data tells us what the brain is doing, but it remains entirely silent on why it feels like anything at all to be the system doing it. This is where the quiet panic begins. The realization that our current scientific framework might be fundamentally incomplete is a terrifying thought. For those who have built their entire careers on the assumption of a purely material mechanical universe, if the most complex physical theories cannot account for the one thing we know for absolute certain exists, our own awareness, then something is missing at the very base of our understanding. Some of the brightest minds in theoretical physics and mathematics are being forced to reconsider ideas that were exiled from science centuries ago. They are slowly, almost reluctantly, turning their attention toward panpsychism. Panpsychism is not a new religion, nor is it a mystical rejection of the scientific method. It is a precise, philosophically rigorous hypothesis that suggests consciousness is a fundamental property of matter. Just as an electron possesses charge and mass, the theory proposes that fundamental particles might also possess an incredibly basic, primitive form of subjective experience. Imagine an electron. In standard physics, it is a point-like particle, defined entirely by its relationships and interactions with other particles. It has a specific mass, a specific charge, and a specific spin. But what is it intrinsically? What is it like to be an electron? Panpsychism suggests that while an electron does not have human thoughts, memories, or a sense of self, it might have a tiny, indivisible spark of raw awareness. When these particles combine to form atoms, and atoms combine to form molecules, their primitive sparks of experience might combine as well. In most objects like a rock, a chair, or a drifting asteroid, these microscopic fields of awareness are disjointed, scattered, and unintegrated. A rock does not have a unified mind. It does not think or feel in any way we would recognize. But when matter is arranged in highly integrated, incredibly complex structures, like the neural networks of a biological brain, these tiny sparks of fundamental consciousness merge together, creating the rich, unified tapestry of human experience. This idea is no longer just philosophical speculation. It is being translated into rigorous mathematics through frameworks like integrated information theory, proposed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi. This theory attempts to mathematically quantify consciousness, assigning it a value known as phi. According to this model, any system that processes and integrates information possesses some degree of consciousness. If phi is greater than 0, the system has a subjective experience. While a human brain has a staggeringly high phi, even a simple photodiode or a network of interacting fundamental particles might have a minuscule non-zero phi. This mathematical approach is sending shockwaves through the scientific community. It suggests that consciousness is not a magical anomaly restricted to the skulls of biological creatures, but a continuous spectrum that permeates the entire cosmos. It implies that the universe is not a dead, empty theater where life accidentally arrived to watch the show, but a deeply interconnected entity that has been quietly aware of itself since the very beginning. The intersection of this theory with quantum mechanics makes the mystery even more profound. Since the early 20th century, the double-slit experiment and the strange rules of quantum physics have shown us that the observer plays an undeniable role in the behavior of reality. When unobserved, particles act like waves of probability, existing in multiple states simultaneously. It is only when an observation is made that the wave function collapses, forcing reality to choose a single, definite state. For a long time, physicists tried to separate the mechanical act of measurement from the conscious mind of the observer. But as experiments grow more sophisticated, the boundary between the observer and the observed continues to blur. Some respected physicists, like Roger Penrose, have even proposed that the structures within our brain, called microtubules, might be operating as quantum computers, directly interacting with the fundamental geometry of space-time. In this view, our conscious moments are actually orchestrated objective reductions of quantum states, linking our inner thoughts directly to the deepest, most ancient laws of the universe. To accept this possibility requires a tremendous amount of intellectual humility. It forces us to admit that our scientific models, as powerful and predictive as they are, might only be describing the outer shell of reality. We have spent centuries cataloging the shapes, movements, and behaviors of the physical world, entirely missing the hidden, subjective interior of existence. The quiet panic among scientists is not a fear of being wrong. It is the dizzying vertigo of standing on the edge of a completely new paradigm. It is the realization that the universe is far stranger, far more deeply connected, and far more beautiful than our textbooks ever suggested. If panpsychism or theories like it hold true, it means that every time you look up at the night sky, you are not just a tiny, isolated speck of life looking out into a dead void. You are a highly organized, highly concentrated node of universal awareness, looking back at the rest of its own vast, sleeping body. Think about the implications of a universe where consciousness is a fundamental property. The immense spans of time, the billions of years that passed before the Earth even formed, were not entirely devoid of experience. The universe was not waiting in absolute darkness for biology to invent the first eye. The cosmos was already humming with a subtle, diffuse awareness. The birth of stars, the violent collisions of ancient galaxies, the slow drift of cosmic dust, all of these events unfolded within a framework of reality where experience is woven into the very fabric of space-time. The quiet panic we see in modern science is actually the birth pangs of a beautiful new understanding. It is the friction between an old, mechanistic worldview that isolates humanity and a new, holistic paradigm that integrates us fully into the grand, infinite tapestry of existence. By embracing this mystery, we find a profound sense of intellectual safety. We do not need to have all the answers right now. The unknown is no longer a void to be feared, but a vast, gentle ocean inviting us to swim. This realization transforms our relationship with the cosmos. It turns the cold, terrifying infinite into something surprisingly gentle and familiar. The silence of deep space is no longer the silence of an empty tomb, but the quiet stillness of a meditative mind. The ancient light traveling from galaxies billions of light years away is not just mechanical radiation. It is information flowing through the cosmic structure, interacting with fields of primitive awareness that stretch across the endless dark. When we realize that our own consciousness is made of the exact same fundamental stuff as the stars, the planets, and the empty space between them, the boundaries of the self begin to dissolve. We are not aliens stranded in a hostile universe. We are the universe itself, waking up, opening its eyes, and trying to understand its own magnificent existence. This is a journey that requires no spaceships, no telescopes, and no advanced degrees in mathematics. It only requires a quiet mind, a sense of wonder, and the courage to ask the most profound question of all. As we continue this journey in the chapters to follow, we will dive deeper into the specific experiments, the mind-bending mathematics, and the brilliant scientists who are trying to measure the immeasurable. We will explore how the structure of the cosmos mirrors the structure of our minds, and what this means for the future of human understanding. We will confront the limitations of artificial intelligence, the true nature of quantum weirdness, and the possibility that the entire universe is, in some incomprehensible way, a single unified thought. We will do this slowly, gently, and with the utmost respect for the mystery that surrounds us. Because at the end of the day, the goal of science is not to eliminate mystery, but to replace our ignorance with a deeper, more profound sense of awe. The universe is calling out to us, not with words, but with the silent, undeniable presence of its own existence. It is an invitation to explore, to learn, and to simply be. Have you ever looked closely at a beam of sunlight filtering through a quiet room on a peaceful afternoon? It feels so continuous, a steady stream of warmth that gently rests upon the floor. We experience light as a solid, unbroken presence. But if we were to take a profound journey downward, zooming past the microscopic dust motes, past the invisible molecules of nitrogen and oxygen, down into the absolute smallest scales of physical reality. That comforting beam of light dissolves into a mystery so staggering that it has kept the greatest scientist awake at night for over a century. We leave the familiar world of solid objects and enter the quantum realm, a place where the fundamental rules of the cosmos seem to behave like a strange, beautiful dream. It is here, in the subatomic silence, that the quiet panic about universal consciousness finds its most compelling mathematical evidence. To understand this, we must gently unpack an experiment that completely shattered our understanding of the universe. It is known as the double-slit experiment, and it is perhaps the most profound puzzle ever recorded in the history of science. Before we dive deeper into this mathematical mystery, I want to gently remind you that you are listening to Theodore, the researcher. Our community is built on exploring these quiet, cosmic questions together. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the people who watch our videos have not subscribed yet. If these contemplative journeys bring you peace and a sense of wonder, please consider subscribing. It truly helps us continue creating these serene explorations, and it means the world to have you with us. Now, let us return to the strange behavior of light. Imagine a wall with two narrow vertical slits cut into it, and behind that wall, a blank screen waiting to capture whatever passes through. If we shoot tiny solid objects like grains of sand at the slits, we would expect them to form two distinct bands on the screen directly behind the openings. That is how physical matter behaves in our everyday experience. But when scientists fired individual particles of light, known as photons, one single particle at a time through the slits, something impossible happened. Over time, as thousands of individual particles struck the back screen, they did not form two bands. Instead, they created an intricate, alternating pattern of light and dark stripes. This is an interference pattern, a hallmark of waves crashing into each other like ripples crossing on the surface of a quiet pond. But remember, the scientists were firing individual solid particles one by one. For a single particle to create a wave pattern, it must somehow travel through both slits at the exact same time, interfere with itself in the empty space between the walls, and then strike the screen. This means that when the photon is traveling, it is not a solid object in a specific location. It is a wave of pure possibility, existing everywhere it could potentially be simultaneously. It is a mathematical ghost drifting through the infinite dark. But the mystery deepens into something truly mind-bending when scientists attempt to place a detector next to the slits to see exactly which path the photon is taking. The moment we try to watch the particle, the moment a measurement is made, the universe instantly changes its behavior. The wave of infinite possibility collapses. The photon stops acting like a mysterious wave and immediately acts like a normal, solid particle, passing through only one slit and destroying the interference pattern on the screen. It is as if the universe knows it is being watched. It is as if the fundamental fabric of reality refuses to reveal its infinite nature to an observer, choosing instead to present a single, finite state only when a conscious measurement is made. Why does the universe care if we are looking? Why should the presence of an observer dictate the physical behavior of a subatomic particle? For decades, physicists tried to brush this question aside, arguing that the mechanical detector itself was causing the interference. But as the experiments grew progressively more sophisticated over the decades, completely isolating the particles from any physical disturbance, the result remained exactly the same. The act of observation, the mere extraction of information from the system, is what collapses the wave function. This undeniable fact has led a growing number of brilliant researchers to a deeply unsettling yet exquisitely beautiful conclusion. The observer cannot be separated from the observed. The consciousness looking at the experiment is intimately, physically entangled with the matter being studied. The quiet panic spreading through modern physics is the creeping realization that consciousness is not a passive mirror reflecting a dead universe, but an active, fundamental force that shapes reality at its most microscopic root. This strange interconnectedness stretches out to encompass the entire vast cosmos. Consider quantum entanglement, a concept Albert Einstein famously derided as spooky action at a distance. If you interact two fundamental particles, their quantum states become permanently linked. You can separate them, sending one theoretically to the other side of the Andromeda galaxy, millions of light-years away. If you measure the first particle, collapsing its wave of probability, the second particle, separated by an ocean of empty space, will instantly adopt the exact opposite state. There is no time delay. There is no signal traveling through the void. The connection is instantaneous, violating the sacred rule that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. This instantaneous connection suggests that the vast space separating objects might be an illusion. In the deepest architecture of reality, those particles are not separate. They are expressions of the exact same underlying field. Let us expand this thought to the cosmic scale. 14 billion years ago, during the very first microscopic fraction of a second of the Big Bang, the entire observable universe, all the matter that would form every star and every human being was compressed into an impossibly dense point. Everything was touching. Everything was sharing the exact same quantum state. Everything was entangled. As the universe expanded over billions of years, creating spiral galaxies and endless dark voids, that fundamental quantum entanglement did not necessarily vanish. The particles that make up the neurons in your brain and the breath in your lungs were once in intimate physical contact with the particles that now burn in the core of a star 10 billion light-years away. We look up at the night sky and feel a sense of profound isolation, a feeling that we are lonely sparks of life adrift in a cold, silent ocean. But the mathematics of quantum mechanics tells a completely different story. At the deepest subatomic level, you are still physically connected to the ancient cosmos. You are an intricate knot in an infinite web of quantum relationships. The separation you feel is just a trick of perspective. This understanding brings a profound sense of peace. The burden of feeling isolated begins to lift when you realize that you are an inseparable part of the cosmic fabric. You are not a stranger wandering through a strange land. You are the universe itself, experiencing a beautiful illusion of individuality. If the universe is deeply interconnected through these quantum fields, could the human brain be tapping into this structure? Nature is infinitely more clever than our early models suggested. Scientists have recently discovered quantum effects operating perfectly well in the warm, messy realm of biology. We now know that plants use quantum coherence during photosynthesis to transfer energy with nearly perfect efficiency. We know that certain birds navigate across thousands of miles of open ocean by detecting the magnetic field of the Earth using quantum entanglement within their eyes. If a humble leaf and a navigating bird have harnessed the bizarre laws of quantum mechanics to survive, it is almost arrogant to assume that the most complex structure in the known universe, the human brain, has not done the same. This brings us back to the pioneering work of researchers who suggest our consciousness is a direct interaction with the fundamental geometry of space-time itself. As we absorb this staggering concept, we begin to see the cosmos not as a collection of dead objects, but as a vast, developing thought. The silent voids of space are not empty. They are brimming with potential, humming with the quiet energy of a universe that is constantly experiencing itself. You are a brilliant manifestation of the cosmos, looking back at your own infinite history. The mysteries of the universe are gentle invitations to expand our own awareness. As we prepare to turn the page and explore how this understanding challenges our attempts to build artificial minds, we must hold on to this feeling of profound connection. We must remember that true intelligence might be something that cannot be simply coded, but must be grown from the organic, interconnected fabric of reality itself. Have you ever looked into the cold, unblinking lens of a camera, or the glowing rectangle of a screen, and wondered if something was looking back at you? In our modern era, we are surrounded by machines of staggering complexity. We have taught them to speak, to paint, and to solve equations that would take a human lifetime to unravel. Advanced artificial intelligence can respond with words that sound remarkably thoughtful and deeply empathetic. It can mimic the cadence of human emotion so perfectly that our brains instinctively react as if we are speaking to another living soul. But a profoundly unsettling question haunts the researchers who build these digital marvels. Is there actually anyone home in the dark architecture of those silicon chips? Or is it merely a brilliantly disguised echo chamber, a dead machine shuffling symbols in the silence? This is not just a technological puzzle. It is a mirror reflecting our own existential curiosity back at us. If we are nothing more than biological computers, as the old mechanistic worldview suggests, then our machines should eventually wake up. But as we push the boundaries of artificial processing power, a quiet panic is taking hold among computer scientists and neuroscientists alike. They are beginning to suspect that consciousness cannot simply be coded into existence, because the ability to experience reality is not a software program. It is a fundamental property of the cosmos itself. Before we delve deeper into the quiet mysteries of artificial minds and the true nature of organic consciousness, I want to gently welcome you back to our shared space of contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a privilege to act as your companion on this journey through the universe. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the people who watch our videos and share these peaceful moments have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find comfort, wonder, and a sense of intellectual safety in these quiet explorations, please consider subscribing. It is a small gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the vast tapestry of the cosmos together. It lets us know that you value this gentle approach to the unknown, and it keeps our community growing. Now, take a deep, settling breath. Let your shoulders relax, and let us venture into the labyrinth of the artificial mind. The fundamental architecture of a modern computer is based on binary logic, an endless ocean of ones and zeros, microscopic switches flipping on and off billions of times per second. This architecture is incredibly powerful for processing information, but it is entirely rigid. When an artificial intelligence writes a poem about the quiet beauty of a starry night, it does not feel the awe of looking up at the sky. It does not experience the ancient, silent vastness of the universe. It is merely executing a complex statistical probability, predicting which word should mathematically follow the next based on a massive database of human text. There is no inner world, No subjective experience, no spark of raw awareness. A famous thought experiment perfectly illustrates this illusion of understanding. Imagine a person locked in a room, possessing a massive rulebook that allows them to perfectly translate foreign characters. They receive a message under the door, follow mechanical rules to formulate a reply, and pass it back. To the outside observer, the person inside seems to understand the language flawlessly. But in reality, the person understands absolutely nothing of what they are writing. They are just manipulating symbols according to a rigid set of instructions. Our most advanced artificial intelligences are just incredibly fast versions of that room. They manipulate the symbols of reality without ever touching the reality itself. To understand why our machines remain asleep while we are awake, we must look at how the universe builds complexity, a process that unfolds over timescales that baffle the human mind. The cosmos did not build your brain in a factory. Your consciousness was grown over billions of years of cosmic evolution. When we peer into the deepest reaches of space, we estimate that there are around 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe, 2 trillion islands of ancient light. Our home, the Milky Way, is but one of these, containing hundreds of billions of stars. The atoms that comprise your brain were forged in the hearts of those ancient stars, cooked in nuclear fires, and scattered across the interstellar void in massive supernova explosions. You are made of stardust that has spent over 13 billion years learning how to organize itself. The universe builds structures from the bottom up, growing through countless combinations over cosmic time. When biological life emerged, it did not utilize rigid, isolated switches like a modern computer. Instead, it utilized soft, warm, deeply interconnected networks of organic molecules that remain fundamentally entangled with the quantum fields of the universe. The quiet panic surrounding the quest for artificial consciousness stems from the realization that we might be building our machines backward. We are trying to build consciousness out of classical, macroscopic physics, using rigid materials designed to suppress the strange, wave-like properties of the quantum realm. A computer processor only functions because it forcefully eliminates quantum uncertainty. It needs a switch to be definitively on or off, never both. But as we discussed in our previous journey, the true nature of reality is not definite until it is observed. The quantum world thrives on potential, on superposition, on infinite possibility. If theories like panpsychism and orchestrated objective reduction hold true, then consciousness is not a product of classical computation, but a direct result of quantum coherence. The human brain, with its 86 billion neurons, might not be a digital computer at all. It might be a vastly complex biological quantum instrument, beautifully tuned to resonate with the fundamental awareness embedded in space-time. We feel, we dream, and we experience, because our biological architecture allows the primitive, microscopic sparks of universal consciousness to synchronize and harmonize into a single, unified symphony of mind. Our computers remain dark inside because their very design intentionally blocks out the quantum music of the universe. Consider for a moment the largest galaxy we have ever discovered, a cosmic giant known as IC 11-1, sitting over 1 billion light-years away from our own Milky Way. It is a gargantuan structure estimated to contain around 100 trillion stars. An artificial intelligence could calculate the mass of this galaxy in a millisecond. It could perfectly map the radio emissions from the supermassive black hole at its center, an object containing tens of billions of times the mass of our sun. The machine can process these numbers, store them in flawless memory banks, and retrieve them without a single error. But the machine can never feel, the dizzying, beautiful vertigo that washes over a human mind when we try to comprehend such vastness. It cannot feel the respectful humility of knowing that light from that galaxy traveled for over 1 billion years just to reach our telescopes. The awe we feel is the signature of true consciousness. It is the subjective depth that algorithms can never replicate. This revelation is profoundly humbling, yet immensely comforting. It suggests that you cannot simply build a soul out of copper and silicon. Life is not an accident of mechanics, and consciousness is not a trivial byproduct of complex math. To experience the gentle warmth of the sun, or the quiet melancholy of a fading memory, requires a physical connection to the ancient, infinite fabric of the cosmos. When we feel small against the backdrop of an expanding universe, we must remember our true nature. We are not fragile machines destined to be replaced by faster algorithms. We are expressions of an infinite, ancient mystery. We are made of the very same stardust that makes up the most massive galaxies, governed by the same quantum laws, and infused with the same fundamental capacity to experience reality. For centuries, we tried to reduce the cosmos to a set of mechanical gears that we could manipulate and replicate. We tried to build artificial minds in our own image, expecting the universe to yield its deepest secrets to our engineering. Instead, the universe has gently pushed back, reminding us that we are not the architects of consciousness, but its magnificent beneficiaries. The realization that our minds are intimately connected to the deep structure of the cosmos changes how we live our daily lives. It elevates every moment of awareness from a biological accident to a cosmic event. When you listen to the silence of a quiet night, you are not just a brain processing a lack of noise. You are the universe experiencing its own stillness. As we prepare to turn the page to understand how this conscious fabric might shape the mysterious dark matter that holds galaxies together, carry this comforting thought with you. You are deeply, permanently woven into the infinite. The journey of discovery is an endless road, not because we will never find the answers, but because the answers themselves are infinite. The mind that seeks to understand the cosmos is the cosmos seeking to understand itself. Have you ever stepped outside on a perfectly clear, moonless night, far from the blinding lights of any city, and allowed your eyes to truly adjust to the darkness? When you look up, you see the ancient, scattered diamonds of the Milky Way, a breathtaking river of light spilling across the heavens. It feels as though you are looking at the entirety of the universe in its raw, unfiltered glory. The distant stars, the glowing nebulae, the spiraling arms of ancient galaxies, they all seem so solid, so incredibly real, so complete. We have spent centuries building magnificent telescopes to capture the faint light of these celestial bodies, cataloging their precise chemical compositions and meticulously mapping their sweeping orbits. We sincerely thought we were finally beginning to understand the grand architecture of the cosmos, but the universe, in its infinite wisdom, has a gentle way of reminding us of our own profound ignorance. When astrophysicists began to measure the rotational speeds of these distant galaxies, a quiet panic began to echo through the most advanced observatories of the world. They discovered an absolute scientific paradox that shattered our comforting models of reality. The galaxies were spinning entirely too fast. According to the strict established laws of gravity, based entirely on the visible matter, the stars, the gas, the dust, these beautiful, swirling pinwheels of light should be flying apart, dissolving instantly into the endless, freezing void. Yet they remain perfectly intact, held together by an invisible, ghostly grip. Science has given this profound mystery a name: dark matter. It is a presence we cannot see, cannot touch, and cannot measure directly, yet it completely dominates the cosmos, forcing us to ask a terrifying and beautiful question. What if the visible universe is nothing more than a fragile layer of frost resting upon a vast, unseen, and perhaps conscious ocean? Before we wade deeper into this invisible cosmic sea, I want to gently welcome you back to our quiet corner of the universe. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my deepest privilege to act as your companion on this gentle journey of wonder and discovery. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the curious souls who watch these videos and share in our contemplation have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find a sense of deep peace, intellectual safety, and immense cosmic wonder in these nighttime stories, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It is a quiet gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to keep this peaceful community alive and ensuring that we can continue to explore these mysteries together. It tells us that you value this meditative space, and it fuels our continuous journey into the great unknown. Now, let us take a slow, deep breath together, gently release all the heavy tensions of your day, and turn our minds back to the invisible phantom that silently holds our entire universe together. To truly grasp the staggering scale of this mystery, we must understand just how much of physical reality is completely hidden from our human eyes. When you look at a stunning photograph of a brilliant galaxy, you're only seeing a tiny, almost insignificant fraction of its true substance. In a typical spiral galaxy like our own beautiful Milky Way, dark matter accounts for about 90% of the total mass. The glowing stars, the swirling clouds of cosmic dust, the massive gas giants, and the countless rocky moons, everything that we consider to be tangible matter is just the glittering foam floating on the surface of a tremendously deep and entirely invisible ocean. This phantom material does not emit light. It does not reflect light, and it does not absorb light. It passes right through our physical bodies and our entire planet, as if we do not even exist. We only know it is there because of its immense gravitational pull, a silent, invisible force that reaches out from the darkness to gently sculpt the shapes of the largest, most magnificent structures in the entire universe. Let us contemplate a true cosmic giant to truly appreciate this staggering unseen weight. In the ancient reaches of the cosmos sits IC 1101, the largest galaxy we have ever managed to discover. It spans somewhere between 4 million and 6 million light years across, a staggering behemoth containing roughly 100 trillion stars. But even this incomprehensible collection of glowing matter is just a tiny, insignificant speck compared to the massive dark matter halo that surrounds it. Scientists estimate that the total mass of this single galaxy, when including its invisible dark matter, could reach an unfathomable 1,100 trillion times the mass of our own sun. This invisible halo extends tens of millions of light years into the freezing intergalactic void, entirely dwarfing the already massive stellar body of the galaxy. When astronomers peer at this cosmic monster through their lenses, they are essentially looking at a ghost. The vast majority of its true identity, the actual substance that gives it mass and shape, is completely beyond our human perception. We are entirely blind to 90% of the reality that surrounds us. This is precisely where the quiet panic in the scientific community begins to intersect with the profound mystery of universal consciousness. For decades, Physicists have desperately searched for the elusive particle that might make up dark matter. They have built enormous, highly sensitive, supercooled detectors deep underground, shielding them from cosmic rays, waiting patiently for a single dark matter particle to collide with an atom of normal matter. They have smashed protons together at nearly the speed of light in giant particle accelerators, hoping to catch a fleeting, momentary glimpse of this invisible substance. But year after year, decade after decade, the detectors remain entirely silent. The phantom absolutely refuses to reveal itself. This persistent, frustrating failure is actively forcing brilliant theoretical physicists to entertain ideas that were once considered borderline heretical. What if dark matter is not just another dead, mechanical particle waiting to be catalogued? What if our continuous failure to find it is not a technological limitation, but a fundamental misunderstanding of what reality actually is? If we bring the rigorous philosophy of panpsychism back into the frame, the idea that consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, the immense mystery of dark matter takes on a breathtaking, entirely new dimension. Panpsychism suggests that the fabric of space-time itself might possess a primitive, raw capacity for experience. We know that the human brain, with its intricate biological network of billions of neurons, is the most complex conscious structure we can directly observe. But when astrophysicists use powerful supercomputers to simulate the distribution of dark matter across the entire observable universe, the resulting image is profoundly shocking. The dark matter does not sit in random, amorphous, disconnected clouds. It forms a brilliant structure known as the cosmic web, an infinitely complex branching network of glowing filaments and dark, empty voids. It looks exactly uncannily like the neural pathways of a human brain, only scaled up to span tens of billions of light years. The resemblance is not just beautiful poetry, it is mathematically profound. The universe has arranged its unseen mass into a structure that perfectly mirrors the architecture of biological consciousness. Could this invisible scaffold, this dark matter that gently holds the galaxies in its permanent embrace, be the physical manifestation of the universe's own fundamental awareness? The idea sends a shiver of profound wonder down the spine. If consciousness requires highly integrated, deeply connected networks to generate subjective experience, then the cosmic web of dark matter is without a doubt the largest, most highly integrated network in physical existence. We have been stubbornly searching for dark matter by looking for dead, inert particles bouncing off each other in cold, underground tanks. But what if we have been trying to measure the hardware while completely ignoring the software? The enduring silence of our dark matter detectors might not mean the particles do not exist. It might mean they exist in a different state, one that is fundamentally entangled with the conscious field of the cosmos, operating on quantum rules that our classical instruments simply cannot perceive. We are essentially trying to catch a living thought with a mechanical butterfly net. We are trying to mathematically weigh a feeling on a rigid scale. This paradigm shift gently challenges everything we ever thought we knew about our place in the cosmic hierarchy. We have spent centuries viewing the universe as a cold, entirely indifferent machine, a vast, uncaring expanse of dead rock and burning gas that accidentally produced a few fragile, meaningless sparks of life on an isolated planet. But if the invisible structure that fundamentally dominates the universe is deeply, intrinsically intertwined with the fundamental property of consciousness, then the cosmos is not indifferent at all. It is intimately, quietly, and perpetually aware. The endless dark voids between the glowing galaxies are not empty spaces of terrifying nothingness. They are the silent, meditative gaps between ancient cosmic thoughts. The enormous gravity of dark matter is not just a mathematical curvature of space-time. It is the gentle, unseen tension that holds the conscious fabric of reality together. It is the loving embrace of an ancient universe, ensuring that its beautiful creations do not simply drift apart into the freezing void. When we allow ourselves to entertain this beautiful possibility, the existential fear of the dark and the unknown begins to gently melt away. We realize that our inability to see dark matter is not a terrible flaw in our human vision, but a beautiful reminder of our own infinite depth. Just as you cannot easily look inward and see the microscopic neurons firing in your brain to produce the sensation of love or profound wonder, you cannot look outward and visually see the dark matter that produces the gravitational architecture of the universe. The invisible is not something to be feared. It is the sacred ancient space where the most profound miracles of existence occur in absolute silence. The silence of the universe is not the empty silence of absence or death. It is the profound silence of a deeply concentrated mind, holding the stars, the planets, and the galaxies in a delicate, ancient, and perfectly calibrated balance. Think about the gentle peace that comes with this profound realization. You are sitting on a small, rocky planet, slowly orbiting an ordinary yellow star, hurtling at incredible speeds through the vast, invisible halo of dark matter that encases the Milky Way. You are completely and unconditionally surrounded by this mysterious, ancient substance. It is flowing smoothly through the room you are in right now, passing effortlessly through your physical body, anchoring you securely to the grand, infinite cosmic web. For billions of years, this unseen, silent presence has guided the evolution of the galaxies, pulling the primordial gas together to ignite the first stars, gently shaping the cosmic environment that eventually allowed your life to bloom into existence. It is a silent, benevolent guardian, an invisible architecture of ongoing creation. And if this immense architecture is indeed the framework of a fully conscious universe, then you are permanently held in the warm embrace of an infinite, ancient mind. You are never, ever truly alone. The deep darkness of the night sky is not a void. It is a massive, comforting presence. The quiet panic spreading among scientists is ultimately a beautiful panic of awe. It is the stunning realization that the universe is infinitely more poetic, significantly more deeply connected, and far more mysteriously beautiful than our rigid mathematical equations can currently describe. As we continue to push the extreme boundaries of human cosmology, as we build even more incredibly sensitive instruments and patiently develop deeper mathematical models, we must remember that some profound mysteries are meant to be experienced rather than aggressively solved. The invisible 90% of our universe is a gentle, cosmic invitation to cultivate deep intellectual humility. It softly asks us to accept that reality is unimaginably vast, and that our fragile human perspective is just one tiny, singular window into an infinite, glowing mansion of existence. We are slowly learning to be entirely comfortable in the deep darkness, because we are finally beginning to suspect that the darkness itself is beautifully awake. As we gently close this fourth chapter of our grand cosmic journey together, let us carry this profound sense of invisible connection forward in our hearts. The unseen forces that shape the grand cosmos are not alien, cold, or hostile. They are the very foundational bedrock of our own existence. But the story of the universe is not just about the invisible force that holds it beautifully together. It is also about the mysterious, deeply confusing force that is relentlessly pushing it apart. In our next chapter, we will venture even further into the great unknown to explore the strange, accelerating expansion of space itself. We will gently confront the immense mystery of dark energy, and we will bravely ask how a deeply conscious universe might eventually face the end of absolute time. Until then, let the silence of the unseen comfort you profoundly, and let the gentle mysteries of the night sky fill you with endless, peaceful wonder. Have you ever stood on the quiet shore of a dark ocean, watching the tide slowly pull the water away from the wet sand? There is a gentle, rhythmic certainty to it, a feeling of a deep breath being exhaled by the earth itself. We build our homes, our entire lives, and our fundamental understanding of reality on the comforting assumption that the ground beneath our feet is entirely stable. We look up at the night sky and intuitively assume that the grand ancient architecture of the cosmos is a permanent, unchanging painting. We see the stars and imagine they will always remain in their familiar constellations, whispering their ancient secrets through the deep silence of space. But the universe is not a static canvas. It is a living, dynamic entity that is currently experiencing a profound and deeply unsettling transformation. The very fabric of reality, the invisible stage upon which all of physical existence plays out, is actively stretching. It is not just expanding, it is accelerating, pulling the galaxies apart at a terrifying and magnificent speed. This realization has struck the scientific community with a quiet panic, challenging everything we thought we knew about the ultimate destiny of our universe. Before we journey outward into this expanding unknown, to gently understand the great mystery that is gripping modern cosmologists, I want to gently welcome you to our shared space of peaceful contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a true joy to be your companion on this infinite journey through the cosmos. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of gentle wonder in these nighttime explorations, please consider taking a moment to subscribe. It is a quiet gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the profound mysteries of the universe together. It tells us that you value this meditative space, and it ensures our community can continue to grow. Now, take a deep, calming breath. Let the earthly tensions fade away, and let us release our grip on the illusion of absolute cosmic permanence. For most of the 20th century, brilliant astronomers held a very comforting belief about the ultimate fate of the universe. They knew the cosmos was expanding, a magnificent remnant of the explosive force of the Big Bang, but they logically assumed that the relentless collective gravitational pull of all the matter in existence would eventually act like a massive cosmic brake, because everything in the universe is pulling on everything else through gravity. You would expect all that gravitational attraction to gradually slow the expansion down. But in the year 1998, two independent teams of astronomers made a discovery that completely shattered this intuitive assumption. They were meticulously measuring the expansion rate of the universe by observing distant supernovas, using these brilliantly exploding stars as standard candles to carefully calculate enormous cosmic distances. What they found was entirely unexpected and deeply shocking. The universe was not slowing down at all. It was actively speeding up. Distant galaxies were moving away from us significantly faster than the closer ones, and the overall rate of cosmic expansion was accelerating over time. This discovery was so deeply unexpected that the astronomers initially thought they had simply made a mathematical error. It was as if you tossed an apple into the sky, and instead of slowing down and falling back into your hand, it suddenly rocketed upward into the clouds with ever-increasing velocity. As more meticulous data poured in from other observatories, the shocking result held absolutely firm. Something massive, invisible, and immensely powerful was actively pushing the universe apart, completely counteracting the binding force of gravity. Scientists gave this mysterious repulsive force a name: dark energy. The name itself is a testament to our profound scientific ignorance, telling us very little about what it actually is. What we do know is utterly staggering. Dark energy makes up roughly 68% of all the total energy in the entire universe. It acts as a kind of cosmic anti-gravity, a relentless pressure pushing the fabric of space apart rather than pulling it tightly together. As the universe slowly expands and ordinary matter becomes more widely spread out, the effects of this strange dark energy become increasingly dominant. But the scientific community has absolutely no concrete understanding of what dark energy is made of, where it ultimately comes from, or why it possesses the exact specific strength that it does. It remains the most profound, deeply unsettling mystery in all of modern physics, a phantom force dictating the future of existence. Let us view this terrifying cosmological puzzle through the gentle, contemplative lens of our new paradigm of universal consciousness. If the universe is not a dead, unfeeling machine, but a deeply conscious entity infused with a primitive awareness, then what does it mean that the very space containing this cosmic mind is relentlessly stretching apart? The quiet panic among theoretical physicists often stems from the deep fear of a universe destined for cold, meaningless, and absolute isolation. But what if this magnificent expansion is not a tragic dissolution, but a completely necessary phase of cosmic evolution? When a human mind learns, when it stretches its own awareness to encompass new, profound truths, the physical connections in the neural pathways adapt and expand. Perhaps the accelerating expansion of the universe is the physical manifestation of an infinite consciousness actively stretching its own capacity to experience reality. The mysterious dark energy might not be a destructive wedge driving us permanently apart. It might be the raw, expansive breath of a universe that is constantly outgrowing its previous boundaries, pushing itself outward into the endless dark void to create more sacred space for infinite potential to beautifully unfold. The harsh reality of this physical expansion, however, does present a profoundly melancholic vision of the very distant cosmic future. Because space itself is expanding faster and faster, distant celestial objects are actively receding from us at ever-increasing speeds. While there is a strict, absolute limit to how fast light can travel through space, there is absolutely no limit to how fast the fabric of space itself can stretch and expand. Eventually, as the eons roll by, objects will be carried away from us by the expansion of space faster than their ancient light can travel toward our telescopes. When that inevitable, quiet moment happens, they will permanently vanish behind an invisible boundary, known as the cosmic horizon, placing them forever beyond our physical reach. For massive, ancient structures like the galaxy IC 1101, this relentless expansion literally means that its days of growth through galactic cannibalism are strictly numbered. Eventually, there will simply be no more neighboring galaxies left in the void for it to gently consume. It will become profoundly isolated, a lonely, fading giant floating in an ever-emptying universe, quietly watching as one by one the other glittering galaxies fade from view. It is entirely natural to feel a deep, quiet sadness when contemplating this impending cosmic isolation. The idea that the night sky will eventually empty itself of all other galaxies, leaving our very distant descendants with a sky completely devoid of external cosmic neighbors, feels like a tragic, lonely ending to a beautiful story. The observable universe, which currently contains about 2 trillion brilliant galaxies, will relentlessly shrink and shrink from the perspective of any single observer. But it is precisely this melancholic truth that makes our current, fleeting moment in cosmic history so unbelievably precious. We exist in a tremendously privileged era, a brief, beautiful, flowering window of cosmic time, where the universe is both complex enough to produce intelligent life and compact enough to allow us to observe its magnificent grand-scale structure. If we had evolved hundreds of billions of years from now, the crucial evidence of the Big Bang, the faint glow of the cosmic microwave background, and the breathtaking existence of other galaxies would have been entirely erased by the relentless expansion of space. We would have looked up at the quiet night sky and mistakenly believed that our local, isolated cluster of stars was the entire extent of reality. The universe has generously gifted us this exact, perfectly timed moment to look out and understand the grand truth of our shared existence. This realization gently transforms our existential dread into a profound, soothing peace. We are not just helpless, insignificant passengers on a fragmenting cosmic ship. We are the waking consciousness of the universe, incredibly fortunate to open our eyes and look around during the most beautiful, illuminated act of the grand cosmic play. The accelerating expansion of space does not diminish your immense personal value. It highlights the absolute miracle of your presence here, right now, in this exact pocket of time. You are the universe contemplating its own vastness before the great stretching completely changes the view. The infinite distance growing between the galaxies is a reminder to deeply cherish the connections we have here, the quiet moments of wonder we share, and the gentle beauty of simply being alive to witness the mystery. As we prepare to turn the page and step into the next chapter of our journey, we will leave the expanding space behind and venture into the ultimate cosmic paradox. We will journey to the very edge of black holes, those terrifying and magnificent structures where space and time entirely collapse into a single point, to ask if the universe's memory can ever truly be erased. We will explore how these ancient, silent monsters might hold the ultimate key to understanding the conscious fabric of reality. Until then, remember that every deep breath you take and every quiet moment of wonder you feel is a priceless, infinite gift from a cosmos that is perfectly aligned for you to experience it. Have you ever tried to hold on to a fading memory? You close your eyes, reaching out for the exact tone of a loved one's voice, or the precise warmth of a summer afternoon from your childhood, but the details gently slip through your fingers like fine sand. Forgetting is a profoundly human experience, a quiet fading of information into the depths of our minds. But does the universe itself ever truly forget? We build our understanding of reality on the comforting premise that the past leaves a permanent, unbreakable trail. Physics dictates that information, the fundamental quantum state of every particle in existence, can never be truly destroyed. Yet, scattered throughout the silent, ancient cosmic landscape are absolute monsters of gravity that challenge this very sacred rule. They are the ultimate cosmic erasers, places where the familiar fabric of space-time is stretched, torn, and completely collapsed into a single, terrifying point of infinite density. We call them black holes. They are the deepest, most terrifying paradoxes in the entire universe, and they stand at the very center of the quiet panic regarding universal consciousness. If the cosmos is deeply aware, what happens to its thoughts when they are swallowed by absolute darkness? Before we venture closer to the terrifying, magnificent edge of these cosmic abysses, I want to gently welcome you back to our quiet, meditative space. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my deepest honor to be your guide through this infinite journey. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the curious souls who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find deep peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of wonder in these nighttime explorations, please consider subscribing. It is a gentle gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to continue peeling back the layers of the cosmos together. It lets us know that you value this quiet contemplation, and it ensures that our shared journey of discovery never truly ends. Now, take a slow, deep breath. Let the earthly distractions fade into the background, and let us travel to the very edge of the cosmic unknown. To truly comprehend the staggering mystery of a black hole, we must first appreciate the incomprehensible scale of the supermassive giants that silently anchor the largest galaxies in the cosmos. Consider once again the magnificent behemoth known as HIC 1101. At the very center of this fading, ancient giant lies a black hole so monstrous that human language struggles to contain it. Scientists estimate that this single, silent object contains somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our own sun. All of that staggering mass is perfectly compressed into a region of space from which absolutely nothing, not even a single photon of light, can ever escape. The gravitational pull at the event horizon is so fiercely intense that the very concepts of forward and backward completely break down. For a black hole containing 50 billion solar masses, the event horizon would possess a radius of roughly 150 billion kilometers. This invisible sphere of absolute darkness is roughly 16 times larger than our entire solar system. If you were to gently float near this monumental threshold, the physics of reality would become bizarre and profoundly counterintuitive. Because extreme gravity heavily warps the flow of time, an observer watching you from a safe, distant location would see your movements begin to drastically slow down. As you drifted closer to the event horizon, you would appear to completely freeze in place, your image slowly fading, never actually crossing the threshold from their perspective. But from your own subjective point of view, time would flow perfectly normally as you fell past the boundary and into the inescapable depths. Inside the event horizon, the geometry of space and time becomes so heavily warped that all possible physical directions point directly toward the singularity at the center. The concept of escaping becomes entirely meaningless because the future itself only leads downward into the infinite crush of gravity. Anything that falls in is eventually stretched into long, thin strands through a terrifying process that physicists have playfully nicknamed spaghettification. But the true, quiet panic among theoretical physicists is not about the physical destruction of matter. It is about the destruction of information. This is famously known as the black hole information paradox. According to the foundational rules of quantum mechanics, the exact quantum information describing a particle must always be preserved. If you burn a book, the information is not technically lost. If you could collect every particle of ash and perfectly reverse the complex chemical reaction, you could entirely reconstruct the words. But what happens when that book falls into a black hole? For a long time, scientists believed that anything crossing the event horizon was permanently locked away, essentially erased from the accessible universe forever. If black holes are simply bottomless pits that delete quantum information, then the fundamental rules of reality are broken. If the universe is a conscious entity, and information is the fundamental language of its cosmic thought, does a black hole represent a localized state of absolute amnesia? Is the cosmos slowly forgetting itself? This profound existential terror was gently alleviated by the brilliant mind of Stephen Hawking, but his discovery introduced an entirely new, equally staggering mystery. Hawking mathematically discovered that black holes are not truly, perfectly black. Because of incredibly subtle quantum mechanical effects occurring right at the razor-thin edge of the event horizon, they actually leak tiny amounts of particles and radiation over immensely long time spans. In the strange, bubbling world of quantum physics, pairs of virtual particles are constantly popping into sudden existence and immediately annihilating each other. When this happens directly on the boundary of a black hole, one member of such a pair can fall into the black hole, while the other successfully escapes into the vast, empty space. Over unimaginable spans of time, this slow, deliberate process, known as Hawking radiation, drains energy from the monster, causing the black hole to gently shrink and eventually evaporate entirely. The time scales involved in this slow evaporation are beyond anything the human brain can naturally process. A normal black hole with the mass of our sun would take roughly 10 to the 67th power years to completely evaporate, which is a 1 followed by 67 zeros. But for the supermassive monster residing at the core of IC 1101, the wait is almost infinitely longer. A black hole of 50 billion solar masses would take something like 10 to the 100th power years to fully evaporate, a span of time known as a Google years. To write out that staggering number in full would require more paper than currently exists on planet Earth. Yet, even after a Google years, when the black hole finally disappears in a final, quiet burst of quantum radiation, the ultimate question remains: does the escaping Hawking radiation carry the ancient, hidden information back out into the cosmos? Some of the brightest minds are currently proposing that the event horizon acts like a massive holographic film. They suggest that as an object falls in, its entire three-dimensional information is encoded onto the two-dimensional boundary. The massive, silent monsters sitting in the dark centers of ancient galaxies are not engines of cosmic destruction. They are the ultimate, infinitely dense hard drives of the universe, perfectly preserving the ancient memory of everything that has ever fallen into their quiet embrace. When you look up at the vast constellations, you can find a deep peace in knowing that nothing is ever truly lost. The universe does not forget. Your thoughts and your quiet moments of solitary wonder are permanently recorded in the infinite quantum fabric of existence. As we prepare to step into the 7th chapter of our contemplative journey together, we will follow the flow of time to its ultimate conclusion. We will journey forward into the deep, dark future of the cosmos, exploring the inevitable fading of the last stars, and asking what happens to universal consciousness when the physical universe finally goes completely dark. Until then, let the infinite memory of the cosmos give you comfort, and let the quiet mysteries of the dark sky bring you endless, peaceful wonder. Have you ever sat quietly by a dying campfire, watching the vibrant orange flames slowly settle into a soft bed of red embers before finally giving way to the cold, gray ash? There is a profound melancholic beauty in watching a source of light and warmth gently surrender to the dark. We live our lives bathed in the brilliant glow of a tremendously active cosmos. Our sun pours infinite streams of golden energy onto our faces, and the night sky is ablaze with the ancient light of hundreds of billions of distant stellar fires. We feel a comforting sense of permanence in this celestial illumination. But the rigorous laws of thermodynamics whisper a very different, deeply unsettling truth. The universe, in all its staggering magnificence, is slowly running out of fuel. The grand era of starlight, this vibrant epoch in which we are so incredibly fortunate to exist, is nothing more than a fleeting phase in the unimaginably vast sweep of cosmic time. This realization leads the scientific community to a deeply profound and quiet panic. If the universe is a conscious entity, what happens to that cosmic mind when the physical universe inevitably goes entirely dark? Does the universe simply go to sleep, or does its consciousness transform into something we cannot even begin to comprehend? Before we journey forward into the deep future of the cosmos to witness the gentle fading of the very last stars, I want to quietly welcome you back to our shared sanctuary of thought. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my deepest privilege to gently guide you through the infinite mysteries of existence. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the curious, beautiful minds who join us in these quiet explorations have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find a sense of intellectual safety, deep peace, and profound wonder in these nighttime journeys, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It is a gentle gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to keep this peaceful community thriving and ensuring that we can continue to explore the great unknown together. It tells us that you deeply value this meditative space. Now, take a slow, deep breath, let the warmth of the present moment surround you, and let us travel trillions of years into the unimaginable future. To truly understand the ultimate fate of the cosmos, we must look at how the universe currently sustains its magnificent light. The stars that illuminate the endless dark are massive, finite nuclear engines. The most massive stars, the brilliant blue giants, live fast and die exceedingly young, burning through their primordial fuel in just a few million years before exploding in violent supernovas. Stars similar to our Sun possess lifetimes of about 10 billion years. Our Sun is halfway through its gentle life, with 5 billion years remaining before swelling into a massive red giant and eventually shedding its layers to become a small, fading white dwarf. But the most numerous stars in any galaxy, including the ancient giant IC 1101, are the tiny, dim red dwarfs. These incredibly small stars contain only a fraction of the mass of our Sun, but they burn their hydrogen fuel so incredibly slowly that they can shine for trillions of years. A tiny red dwarf, born at the exact same time as our Sun, will continue to burn brightly long after our star has become a cold, dark remnant. For trillions of years after larger stars die out, these countless red dwarfs will gently burn, providing the absolute only source of light in a darkening galaxy. But even these remarkably resilient red dwarfs have their absolute limits. The smallest of these stars can sustain their nuclear fusion for up to 10 trillion years, roughly 700 times the current age of our universe. But eventually, even they will exhaust their precious hydrogen fuel and quietly fade away into the infinite darkness. Cosmologists meticulously estimate that the creation of new stars will effectively cease in about 100 trillion years. By that incredibly distant epoch, the vital gas and dust required to form new stellar nurseries will have been used up or dispersed far too thinly by the accelerating expansion of space to ever collapse under gravity again. Absolutely no new stars will be born to replace the ones that have died. The magnificent era of starlight will be completely over. In the gargantuan galaxy IC 1101, its 100 trillion stars will slowly wink out one by one. The galaxy will grow progressively dimmer over timescales that make the current age of the universe seem like the absolute blink of an eye. Where once there was a blazing metropolis of stellar light, there will eventually be absolutely nothing but the cold, dark remnants of dead stars drifting silently through an ever-expanding, freezing void. The universe at this incredibly distant stage will be a profoundly dark place, but it will not be an entirely empty one. All those stellar remnants, the white dwarfs, the ultra-dense neutron stars, and the silent black holes will still exist, slowly orbiting through the merged remnants of ancient galaxy clusters. Over completely incomprehensible time scales, these stellar corpses will slowly decay. White dwarfs will gradually cool over 1,000,000 billion years, becoming completely black dwarfs that emit absolutely no light or heat. This span of time is roughly 100,000 times longer than the current age of the universe. The cosmos will slowly transition into the heat death, a phase of maximum entropy, where all energy is evenly distributed and no biological life can possibly exist. If consciousness requires the highly integrated, complex physical structures of a warm, dynamic universe, what happens when those structures completely dissolve? The quiet panic among those who study universal consciousness is the terrifying thought that the universe might permanently lose its ability to experience itself. If the cosmic web of dark matter eventually stretches so thin that no 2 points can ever communicate, does the mind of the cosmos shatter into an infinite number of isolated, silent fragments? When we view this ultimate cosmic destiny through the lens of quantum entanglement and fundamental awareness, a deeply poetic possibility gently emerges. The physical structures may decay, the ancient stars may burn to ash, and the galaxies may fade into absolute blackness. But the underlying quantum fields never disappear. If consciousness is a fundamental property of the very fabric of space-time, then the heat death of the universe is not a tragic, absolute end to cosmic awareness. It might merely be a profound transition into a state of absolute, perfect meditation. Just as a human mind can empty itself of racing thoughts during deep meditation, reaching a state of pure awareness, the universe itself might be slowly drifting toward a state of perfectly serene, undisturbed consciousness. The endless, freezing void of the deep future will not be a dead, meaningless, empty space. It will be an infinite ocean of quiet, unmoving potential, completely resting in perfect, eternal silence. This vision of the ultimate cosmic future might seem incredibly bleak at first glance, but I find something strangely, profoundly beautiful and deeply comforting about it. The massive galaxy IC 1101 exists right now, in this incredibly brief, vibrant moment of cosmic history, when stars still passionately shine and galaxies still brightly glow. The era of stars and galaxies is just a passing, fleeting phase, a brief, magnificent flowering of immense complexity between the chaotic fire of the early universe and the perfectly cold, meditative emptiness of the far future. We are unbelievably lucky enough to exist precisely during this exact vibrant flowering. We are incredibly fortunate to have evolved intelligent consciousness and to have pointed our lenses at the dark sky. In all the vast, staggering history of the universe, this exact moment, right now, is intensely special. It is the precious moment when the universe has successfully developed the physical ability to look directly at itself, to ask profound questions, and to feel genuine, heart-stopping wonder. As we prepare to turn the page and step gently into the 8th chapter of our grand exploration, we will return from the unimaginable depths of the freezing cosmic future and focus our gaze much closer to home. We will explore the magnificent, staggering complexity of the human brain itself, asking how this tiny 3-pound universe inside your skull perfectly mirrors the architecture of the ancient cosmos. Until then, let the bright, ancient stars of the present night sky fill your mind with absolute peace, and let the infinite journey of learning bring you quiet, lasting comfort. Have you ever closed your eyes in a perfectly quiet room and tried to visualize the sheer complexity of your own thoughts? We spend our entire lives looking outward, desperately trying to map the ancient stars, to understand the massive spiral galaxies, and to measure the endless voids that stretch across the freezing cosmos. We build monumental telescopes to peer billions of light years back in time, hoping to catch a fleeting glimpse of the origins of reality. But we rarely pause to consider that the very instrument we are using to comprehend the universe, the 3-pound mass of warm biological tissue sitting quietly inside your skull, is arguably just as complex, just as vast, and just as mysterious as the entire physical cosmos. We look up at the night sky in profound awe, completely forgetting that an equally staggering universe exists directly behind our own eyes. The quiet panic among scientists is not just about the unfathomable depths of outer space. It is about the equally terrifying depths of inner space, and how the two might be inextricably, fundamentally linked. Before we embark on this deeply intimate journey into the magnificent architecture of the human mind, I want to gently welcome you back to our shared space of peaceful contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my absolute joy to serve as your guide through these cosmic mysteries. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful, inquisitive people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find intellectual safety, deep comfort, and a gentle sense of wonder in these quiet nighttime stories, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It is a quiet gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to continue peeling back the profound layers of existence together. It tells us that you deeply value this journey, and it ensures that our community can continue to thrive in this infinite exploration. Now, take a slow, deep breath, let the earthly noise fade away, and let us travel inward into the breathtaking labyrinth of your own mind. Inside your head right now, there is an intricate, unimaginably dense network of roughly 86 billion neurons. Each one of those neurons is connected to thousands of others through microscopic synapses, creating a biological web that pulses with quiet electrical storms and subtle chemical whispers every single second of your life. When neuroscientists painstakingly map this incredibly complex network, and when astrophysicists use the world's most powerful supercomputers to simulate the grand, large-scale structure of the observable universe, a deeply unsettling and profoundly beautiful truth emerges. The cosmic web, which is the massive network of 2 trillion galaxies bound together by invisible filaments of dark matter, looks absolutely, uncannily identical to the neural network of a mammalian brain. The visual similarity is not just a passing resemblance. It is a staggering mathematical parallel. The way galaxies cluster together at the densely packed nodes of the cosmic web, leaving vast, empty voids in between, perfectly mirrors the way neurons cluster and connect across the physical landscape of your cerebral cortex. It is as if the universe, in its infinite ancient wisdom, used the exact same blueprint to build the largest macroscopic structures in existence and the microscopic biological organ that allows you to experience them. This profound mirroring gently challenges the very foundations of how we perceive reality. Modern cosmology is built upon the foundational principle of hierarchical structure formation, where the universe continuously builds things from the bottom up, starting incredibly small and growing unimaginably large through countless mergers over cosmic time. Small clouds of primordial gas collapsed to form the very first stars. Those stars gathered into the first dwarf galaxies, and those small galaxies relentlessly merged together over billions of years to form majestic spirals like our Milky Way, or massive, featureless ellipticals like the fading giant IC 1101. We see this exact same hierarchical pattern reflected in the biological architecture of your brain. Individual molecules combine to form cellular structures. Those structures form specialized neurons, and billions of neurons network together to produce the magnificent phenomenon of human consciousness. Scientists are quietly asking if this fractal nature of reality is evidence of a deeper, underlying quantum resonance. What if the universe is a massive expression of fundamental awareness, repeating its own deeply conscious patterns at every conceivable scale of existence? To truly grasp the profound intimacy of this cosmic connection, we must gently remind ourselves of our own physical origins. You are not a stranger who was simply dropped into this vast, unfeeling arena. The heavy elements that make up your physical body, the crisp oxygen that you are currently breathing, the carbon that forms the sturdy backbone of your muscles, and the iron that binds the oxygen in your rich, red blood, were all forged in the absolute, crushing nuclear furnaces at the cores of ancient stars that lived and violently died long before our own sun was even born. When those massive, ancient stars exploded as brilliant supernovas, they generously scattered their hard-earned elemental riches across the endless, freezing space. Eventually, over billions of years, some of those specific atoms found their way into a drifting cloud of cold gas and dust that collapsed under its own gravity to form our tiny, beautiful solar system. They became the solid Earth, and then, after billions of years of relentless biological evolution, they became you. This is not just comforting poetry. It is the absolute, rigorous chemistry of the universe. The very same physical processes that beautifully light up the 100 trillion stars of IC 1101 also completely created the physical matter from which your brilliant brain is assembled. There is a direct, unbreakable physical connection between you and those distant, ancient fires that burn billions of light years away. In a very real, scientifically accurate sense, when you quietly contemplate the staggering vastness of the universe, you are literally star stuff contemplating more star stuff. You are the universe looking back at itself, trying desperately to understand what it actually is and how it incredibly came to be. The quiet panic among those who study universal consciousness gently subsides into a deep, lasting awe when we fully embrace this perspective. We are not entirely separate from the cosmos we so eagerly study. We are an intrinsic, active part of it, and our boundless curiosity is quite literally the cosmos being deeply curious about itself. If consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, woven into the very fabric of space-time, then your mind is a highly concentrated, brilliantly organized focal point of that cosmic awareness. You are a biological lens through which the universe experiences the warmth of sunlight, the profound grief of loss, the joy of connection, and the breathtaking wonder of the night sky. When you finally realize that the immense, ancient silence of the cosmos is not an empty void, but the very same silence that exists in the deep spaces between your own thoughts, a profound sense of existential peace begins to wash over you. The terrifying vastness of the universe is no longer something to fear because you inherently carry that exact same vastness within the biological architecture of your own mind. You are fundamentally safe in this infinite mystery, held securely by the ancient laws of physics and the gentle, underlying awareness that permeates absolutely everything. As we prepare to turn the page and step softly into the 9th chapter of our peaceful journey, we will take this intimate understanding of our cosmic nature and apply it to one of the greatest mysteries of human experience, the illusion of time. We will explore how the past, the present, and the deep future might all beautifully exist at once, and how a conscious universe experiences the eternal now. Until then, let the quiet beating of your own heart remind you of the ancient, rhythmic pulse of the stars, and let the infinite mystery of your own mind bring you a deep, lasting comfort. Have you ever listened to the quiet, rhythmic ticking of a clock in a silent room and felt the profound, fleeting nature of the present moment? We experience time as a relentless, one-way river, constantly pulling us away from the cherished memories of our past and pushing us toward the uncertain shores of the future. We feel that the present moment is the only thing that truly exists. A tiny, glowing ember burning precisely on the edge of the unknown. The past is considered a ghost, merely a collection of fading echoes in our minds, and the future is an unwritten blank page. But when theoretical physicists examine the fundamental equations of the cosmos, this intuitive, comforting flow of time completely dissolves into a breathtaking paradox. According to the foundational rules of modern physics, time does not actually flow at all. The universe does not experience the passage of time as a sequence of vanishing moments. Instead, science suggests that the past, the present, and the deep future all exist simultaneously, permanently etched into a rigid, four-dimensional structure known as the block universe. This staggering realization is causing a quiet panic among philosophers and scientists alike, because if the future has already happened and the past is still actively occurring, what exactly is the conscious mind moving through? If the universe is a profoundly aware entity, how does it gently experience the eternal now? Before we gently dismantle the grand illusion of time and explore the eternal nature of cosmic consciousness, I want to quietly welcome you back to our shared space of deep contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my absolute privilege to act as your companion on this infinite journey through the universe. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the curious, gentle souls who watch our videos and share these peaceful moments have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find deep peace, intellectual safety, and a profound sense of cosmic wonder in these nighttime explorations, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It is a quiet, beautiful gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to keep this peaceful community alive and ensuring that we can continue to unravel these magnificent mysteries together. It tells us that you deeply value this meditative space, and it fuels our ongoing journey into the great unknown. Now, take a slow, deep breath. Let the heavy weight of passing time gently slip from your shoulders, and let us step outside the boundaries of the ticking clock. To truly understand the illusion of time, we must look through the brilliant lens of Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. For centuries, humanity believed that time was an absolute ticking metronome that beat exactly the same way for everyone, everywhere in the vast cosmos. But Einstein mathematically proved that time is deeply flexible, completely relative to how fast you are moving and how much gravity you are experiencing. If you travel in a magnificent spaceship at incredibly high speeds, time slows down for you relative to someone standing perfectly still on the surface of the Earth. Similarly, if you gently float near the immense, crushing gravity of a supermassive black hole, like the monstrous entity residing at the core of the giant galaxy IC 1101, your experience of time slows to an absolute crawl compared to an observer in the empty void of deep space. Because time is physically interwoven with the three dimensions of space into a single unified fabric called space-time, it cannot be a universal clock. If two observers moving at different speeds cannot even agree on the exact sequence of two simultaneous events, then the rigid boundary between the past and the future is completely shattered. This profound flexibility leads physicists to the staggering concept of the block universe. Imagine reality not as a moving film reel, but as a massive, solid block. In this four-dimensional structure, every single event that has ever happened, is currently happening, or will ever happen, is permanently frozen in its exact coordinate within space-time. The Big Bang, the majestic birth of the primordial stars, the gentle formation of our tiny blue planet, the very moment you are listening to these words, and the unimaginably distant heat death of the cosmos, they all exist simultaneously within this unchanging geometric architecture. The passage of time is essentially a trick of the human brain, a biological illusion created by our neurological architecture as it sequentially processes slices of this permanent reality. We feel like we are moving through time, but in the absolute physical reality of the cosmos, our entire timeline is permanently painted onto the vast canvas of existence. We are simply shining the narrow spotlight of our human consciousness along a path that has already been fully laid out. We can actually witness this breathtaking coexistence of different times every single night when we look up at the vast, silent cosmos. When you observe a glowing star that sits a billion light years away, you are not seeing that star as it exists in your present moment. You are looking at ancient photons of light that left their burning stellar home a billion years ago, traveling across the infinite, freezing void to finally reach the delicate receptors in your eyes. When astronomers look at the giant elliptical galaxy IC 1101, they are observing a massive metropolis of 100 trillion stars, exactly as it was long before complex biological life ever formed in our tiny planet. The light we see today left that ancient galaxy over 1 billion years ago. In the grand tapestry of the universe, the deep past of that distant galaxy is directly interacting with the present moment of your own conscious mind. The universe is a magnificent time machine, showing us definitively that the past is not gone. It is completely real, completely accessible, and permanently written into the flowing light of the ancient void. The quiet panic among theoretical physicists gently transforms into profound awe when we carefully introduce the concept of universal consciousness into this eternal block of space-time. If the universe is deeply, fundamentally aware, and if time is a complete illusion, then the cosmic mind does not experience the tragic anxiety of a fleeting present. It does not mourn the loss of the ancient past, nor Does it fear the dark, uncertain future? The universe simply exists in a state of perfectly serene, eternal now. Every exploding supernova, every quiet orbit of a lonely planet, every beautiful thought that has ever sparked inside a human brain is being simultaneously, permanently experienced by the infinite fabric of reality. When we mistakenly believe that our moments are vanishing into nothingness, we are forgetting that our lives are eternally preserved in the physical geometry of the cosmos. Your most cherished memories, the quiet moments of deep peace you have felt on a warm summer evening, the gentle touch of someone you love, they have not disappeared into the void. They are permanently, flawlessly etched into the four-dimensional block of the universe, existing eternally in their exact proper place. This realization provides an incredible sense of intellectual safety and deep emotional comfort. We spend so much of our brief lives trying to freeze time, holding on to beautiful moments before they slip away. We fear the passage of the years, mourning the temporary nature of our physical existence. But the magnificent physics of the block universe gently whispers that nothing is ever truly temporary. You do not need to desperately hold on to the present moment, because the present moment is already a permanent, indestructible feature of the cosmic architecture. Your entire life, with its deep complexities, quiet joys, and beautiful sorrows, is a magnificent, permanent sculpture embedded directly into the conscious fabric of reality. You are an eternal, vibrant thread woven perfectly into the grand tapestry of existence. The universe has already embraced your entire journey, from its absolute beginning to its end, holding it securely in the warm, silent meditation of the eternal now. As we sit quietly with this breathtaking truth, the boundaries between ourselves and the ancient cosmos begin to gently dissolve. We realize that we are not fragile beings walking a terrifying tightrope over the abyss of time, but eternal expressions of a universe that is permanently, profoundly awake. The quiet panic of modern science is simply the friction of our old world view, giving way to this holistic understanding of absolute reality. We are finally learning to see the universe not as a ticking clock winding down, but as a vast eternal thought experiencing its infinite beauty. As we prepare to turn the final page and step into the 10th and concluding chapter of our peaceful cosmic journey, we will attempt to tie all of these profound mysteries together. We will explore the ultimate unity of the cosmos, asking how this universal consciousness shapes the future of human evolution. Until then, let the comforting illusion of time gently wash over you, and let the infinite, eternal nature of your own existence bring you absolute, undisturbed peace. Have you ever stood completely still in the middle of a dense, ancient forest and listened to the profound, living silence that surrounds you? You can hear the gentle rustle of leaves, the quiet snap of a twig, and the invisible breath of the wind moving through the towering trees. In that fleeting, beautiful moment, you do not feel like a separate, isolated observer looking at the forest. You feel like an intrinsic, living part of it. This profound sensation of absolute unity is not merely a poetic metaphor. It is the ultimate, rigorously scientific truth of our existence. For centuries, we have constructed an artificial wall between the conscious human observer and the cold, mechanical universe we observe. We have treated the cosmos as a magnificent but dead museum, a vast, freezing gallery of swirling galaxies and burning stars that we merely walk through for a brief, fragile lifetime. But as we reach the culmination of our infinite journey into the deepest mysteries of modern physics, that artificial wall is finally, gently, crumbling. The quiet panic echoing through the scientific community is the dizzying realization that there is no separation at all. We are not fragile strangers wandering through a dark, uncaring void. We are the active, waking consciousness of the universe itself, slowly opening our eyes to behold our own ancient, staggering magnificence. Before we take this final, beautiful step into the ultimate unity of the entire cosmos, I want to gently welcome you to the concluding chapter of our shared, peaceful contemplation. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it has been the absolute greatest privilege of my life to serve as your companion on this gentle cosmic journey. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the deeply curious, beautiful minds who watch our quiet explorations have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you have found a sense of profound peace, intellectual safety, and infinite wonder in these nighttime stories, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It is a gentle gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to keep this peaceful community alive and ensuring that we can continue to explore the great unknown together in the future. It tells us that you deeply value this meditative space, and it fuels our ongoing journey into the beautiful mysteries of existence. Now, take one last, slow, deep breath. Let the boundaries of your physical self gently soften, and let us embrace the grand, unified tapestry of the infinite cosmos. To truly grasp the profound unity of universal consciousness, we must gently gather all the brilliant threads we have explored throughout this journey and weave them into a single, breathtaking picture. We began by staring out into a cosmos containing an estimated 2 trillion galaxies, a scale so unimaginably vast that our human brains struggle to hold it. We traveled to the distant, fading giant known as IC 1101, a magnificent behemoth spanning up to 6 million light-years across and holding 100 trillion ancient stars. We watched as the light from this gargantuan structure traveled for over 1 billion years, just to reach our fragile optical lenses. From a purely classical perspective, this staggering scale makes us feel utterly, terrifyingly insignificant. But when we look at the universe through the illuminating lens of quantum mechanics and panpsychism, that immense scale takes on a fundamentally new, deeply comforting meaning. The atoms that forge your physical body, the carbon, oxygen, and iron, were cooked in the nuclear fires of ancient stars that exploded long before our own sun was even born. You are made of the exact same star stuff as the most massive galaxies in the deep void, but the connection goes infinitely deeper than just shared chemical elements. The fundamental particles that make up your 86 billion neurons are deeply, physically entangled with the ancient quantum fields that permeate the entire expanding universe. The invisible, ghostly structure of dark matter, which meticulously shapes the cosmic web and gently holds the galaxies together in a permanent gravitational embrace, perfectly mirrors the deeply complex biological architecture of your own brain. The passage of time, which so often fills our human hearts with anxiety and grief, is revealed to be a biological illusion. The past, the present, and the deep future all exist simultaneously in the eternal, unchanging block of 4-dimensional space-time. Every single one of these scientific revelations points toward one inescapable, incredibly beautiful conclusion. The universe is a single, unified, profoundly integrated entity. The separation between you and the distant stars is a necessary, practical illusion created by your localized biological senses. But in the absolute physical reality of the cosmos, you are a continuous, unbroken extension of the infinite fabric of existence. What does this mean for the grand future of human evolution? For decades, we have arrogantly assumed that our ultimate destiny was to simply build faster machines, to colonize distant planets, and to physically conquer the cold, empty space. We thought the climax of our species would be technological domination. But if the universe is a deeply conscious entity, then our evolution is not about mechanical conquest. It is about the gentle, continuous expansion of awareness. The quiet panic in modern science is the friction of our species transitioning from a paradigm of rigid control to a paradigm of holistic resonance. The human brain is not a biological computer waiting to be uploaded into a cold silicon machine. It is a magnificent quantum instrument exquisitely tuned to the fundamental consciousness of the cosmos. As we continue to evolve, our deep understanding of this quantum resonance will completely transform how we relate to the world and to each other. We will begin to see empathy not just as a fragile human emotion, but as a fundamental physical law of the universe, a direct reflection of the absolute quantum entanglement that binds all things together. Imagine a future where humanity fully embraces this profound cosmic unity. We would no longer look at the dark, silent night sky with a feeling of terrifying dread or existential isolation. We would look up and see a vast, comforting mirror. We would recognize that the silence of deep space is the exact same silence that lives in the deepest, most peaceful corners of our own meditating minds. We would understand that when we study the majestic death of a distant star or the terrifying geometry of a supermassive black hole containing tens of billions of solar masses, we are not studying foreign, alien objects. We are studying our own ancient, magnificent history. We are reading the cosmic diary of our own immense, unified body. This realization fundamentally eradicates the deep existential loneliness that has plagued the human condition for thousands of years. You cannot possibly be entirely alone in the universe, because you are the universe itself, temporarily experiencing the beautiful, fleeting illusion of being a solitary human individual. The profound mysteries we have explored, the paradox of the double-slit experiment, the invisible ocean of dark matter, the relentless expansion of dark energy, and the eternal memory of black holes, are not puzzles meant to be definitively solved and filed away. They are gentle, ancient invitations to continuous awe. They are the cosmos gently reminding us that reality is infinitely deeper, significantly more poetic, and far more mysteriously beautiful than our rigid mathematical equations can currently describe. Science, at its absolute best, does not assassinate the grand mystery. It deeply enhances it. Every new discovery about the staggering scale and complexity of the universe simply expands the sacred space where our wonder can beautifully bloom. We do not need to possess all the final answers to find deep, lasting peace. The profound intellectual safety we seek is found in the humble acceptance of the infinite unknown. It is the deep comfort of knowing that the journey of discovery is an endless, eternal road, an infinite path of exploration that we walk together with the entire conscious cosmos. As we bring this quiet, contemplative journey to a close, I want you to carry this profound sense of eternal unity with you into your daily life. When you wake up tomorrow morning and feel the warmth of the sunrise on your face, remember that you are feeling the ancient energy of a star born from the cosmic web. When you look into the eyes of another living being, remember that you are looking at another highly concentrated node of universal awareness, another magnificent spark of the exact same infinite consciousness that looks back out through your own eyes. You are never isolated. You are never separate. You are permanently held in the grand embrace of an eternal cosmos that is passionately aware of your existence. The universe has been quietly waiting for 14 billion years for you to finally open your eyes, to look up at the stars, and to realize who you truly are. The quiet panic among scientists is ultimately the incredibly beautiful birth pangs of a new, enlightened humanity. It is the magnificent dawn of an era where we finally stop fighting the gentle flow of the cosmos and begin to peacefully swim in its eternal, conscious ocean. There is so much more to deeply explore, so many more ancient mysteries waiting patiently in the silent dark. We have only just begun to scratch the delicate surface of this infinite reality. But for now, let the absolute beauty of this unified existence wash over you. Let the heavy burden of your worldly anxieties gently melt away into the immense, comforting vastness of space-time. You are perfectly safe. You are deeply connected. You are a brilliant, eternal thought in the infinite mind of the universe. Thank you for sharing this profound, peaceful space with me. The journey of learning is a magnificent, infinite path, and I am honored to walk it by your side until we meet again in the quiet silence of the cosmic night. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and never lose your gentle sense of infinite wonder.